Hi, my name is Joe Grock, and I'm the Director of Golf at the Glades Golf and Country Club right here in Naples, Florida. And I'm here today to explain a little bit about the Chelsea Tee Time reservation processing system here and the methodology, how it works, and give some examples on how it allocates tee time so that everybody has a firm understanding how the system works, so they can understand that it is a fair and equitable system, and it does work according to the way it is prescribed to work. Now, the Chelsea Tee Time processing system utilizes a play history in determining how tee times are allocated. Specifically, it determines what the average play history is for each player. In this case, you can see player 1's average play history is predicated on the time requested by player 1 minus the time received. In other words, it looks at what time player 1 requested, the time that they actually got, and it determines what that difference is. For example, if they ask for 8 o'clock and they get 1 o'clock, then they've missed their tee time by 5 hours. The system then takes 1/10 of a point off for every hour that the system has missed your tee time by. So in this case, it would be 0.5 would be player 1's first experience with the system would be recorded. Then underneath that, you'll see that there's another record. It says player 1 tee time request and tee time received. So if they asked for 8 o'clock again, for example, and got 8 o'clock in the morning, they would get 1 full point because it didn't miss their tee time at all. And then if you took the 0.5 from the first example and the 1 from the second example, they would have an average play history of 0.75. Now, it looks at the play history in a 1 week moving window. In other words, if the tee sheet is being run for Wednesday, it goes from Wednesday to Wednesday. And then the next day, if the tee sheet's being run on Thursday, it goes from Thursday to Thursday, Friday to Friday, etc. So it's always moving in a 1 week window. Now, based on what player 1's average history is, average play history, and what player 2's average play history is, it determines a team average play history. So it's important to remember that when you're playing golf and asking for tee times, the system's not only looking at what your play history is, but it's also looking at the play history of those that you are playing with or that you're paired with in order to get a team history. So while perhaps you may not have received very good tee times maybe in the past week, well, maybe your buddy has. And so, you know, he or she may be dragging you down in terms of the overall team average history. Now, based on the average team play history, the system is then going to place or rank you as to where you're going to be given tee times. In this case, you'll see that a lower team average play history means that the system has not given you tee times as well as perhaps other people. So in other words, it's missed your tee time. The more it misses your tee time, the more points are taken off. So the lower the average is, the higher your ranking is going to be in when it assigns you a tee time. So lower averages are placed first. Higher team averages means that the system did a pretty good job over that 1 week moving window to give you tee times. And those higher averages will be placed last. Now, based on a tee sheet from Sunday, March 3rd, how did the following golfers receive their tee times? Well, let's take a look at a few examples here. If we look at the group that got the 8:18 tee time on the Pines that morning, it consisted of Steve Moriarty, Horst Kiebeck, and Herb Palmer. Now you'll notice next to their names you'll see 820 next to each one of their names. What that means is that they requested 820, they got 818. Pretty good. And we're going to be taking a closer look at that to see exactly how they received that tea time in detail in a minute. If we look at another group, the second group down there, the 1106 tea time, which was received by Larry Chisholm, Judy Chisholm, Bill Cullen, and Mary Ellen Cullen, you'll notice that they asked for 11 o'clock, and again, that's the number next to their name, and they got 1106, again, pretty good. Now, this is a renter group, and I included that in there so that you could see that they're treated just the same as the owners. One little caveat on the renters. When the renters come to the Glades for the first time, of course, they have a 0 play history, which would give them a wonderful tea time. It was decided that that's not really fair to the people that are here all year round. So the system assigns to each renter the average play history of the entire Glades. It does a calculation. It takes what the average play history is for the entire Glades and assigns it to renters for the first time that they go into the system. After that, it actually uses their actual play history and calculates just like an owner does. So again, when a renter comes in, they take the average play history of the overall Glades. This gives them neither an advantage nor disadvantage when they're entering into the system. And then finally, you'll see a group at the 1242 tea time there at the bottom, and that was received by Tom Flaherty, Patricia Flaherty, Helen Reese, and Bill Reese. And again, they asked for 7, as you can see next to their name, 7 a.m., and they received 12:42 p.m. So not so good. So let's take a closer look and see how this all shakes out. You can see from this placement ranking report that the Moriarty, Quebec, and Palmer group were ranked 17th. Now, there were 71 requests this day. If you'll notice that 17 is in the left hand column there, second down, you'll see a 17. You also see next to that a .520. And what that's telling us is that the team average was .250, and they were ranked 17 out of 71. Then as you move from left to right along the second row, you'll see Steve Moriarty has next to his member number a 0.00. What that means is he did not play at all in that 7-week window. So he has no points. And again, remember, lower is better. If you look at Mr. Quebec, again, next to his number, you'll see a .66. And what that is that is the average of all of the tea times that he received. It's the difference between what he requested and what he received. And we'll be taking a little closer look at that in detail in a minute. And again, Mr. Palmer, next to his number, you'll notice he is also a renter. In that there's in the second to last digit he has a 9. But you'll notice that he's got a 0.90. Which means that on average the system only missed his tea time by an hour. Now if we look here, based on their 17th ranking, you see the yellow highlight at 8:18. That was the time that they were assigned, again based on their 17th rank. In other words, the system went through and it placed the number 1 ranked team, whatever they asked for they got, the number 2 ranked team, whatever they asked for, they basically got, the number 3, 4, and so forth, all the way down to 17. Now, in the case of ties, I'm often asked that, what does it do? In the case of ties, the system has a random number generator, and it randomly generates a number for each team that's asking for the same tea time and has the same play history. And then it just assigns it just at random, so it's just a random draw. So, looking at it in more detail, let's look at that Moriarty group there. Again, that was the 8:18 tea time. The team average was .52, and the order was 17 out of 71. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if we look at Mr. Moriarty, he had no play at all during that time. So, you'll notice next to his name that .00 again, he had no play history. Mr. Quebec had a .66, and his is the sum of a bunch of play that he had during the week, during that 7-day window. He had 5 plays. On February 24th, he asked for 8 o'clock, got 10:58. which missed his tee time by 2 hours, so that gave him a 0.8 in points. On 12:25, he asked for 12. He got 124, and it always rounds to the nearest. It just always rounds down to the lowest or nearest hour. In the case of this one, he missed it by an hour and a half, but he only gets a 0.9 for it. On 2:27, you'll notice that he asked for 8:30, got 12:58, missed it by 4 hours, so he gets a 0.6. And on the 28th, he asked for 7:30, got 2:20, not very good, so he only got a 0.4. And then on the 2nd, he asked for 7:30, got 11:38, missed it by 0.6. Summing that up, dividing by 5, comes to 0.66. And then if we move over to Mr. Palmer, you'll notice that he asked for 9, he got 10, missed it by an hour, he gets 0.9 points. If we continue on down with our other examples, and I won't bore you with all the details, you'll notice that the 11:06 time had a team average of 0.592. They were 22nd out of 71 in their placement order. Mr. Chisholm had 0.36, Mrs. Chisholm had 0.3, Mr. Cullen 0.7, and Mrs. Cullen a full 1 point. And again, you divide that out by 4, and they come up with the 0.592 ranking. Now, moving on down to the last group, you'll notice that they asked for, they had received 1242. They had asked for 7. Now, in this case, they had a team average of 1 point. So, in this case, Mr. and Mrs. Flaherty, Mr. and Mrs. Reese, during that 1 week moving average, they got exactly what they asked for. In fact, to be specific, in the case of the Flahertys, they had asked on 224, they had asked for 730, they got 738, which gave them 1 point. And also, the Reeses on 224 asked for 730, also got 738, and again, they received 1 full point. So that's the highest you can get, is 1 full point. So as a result of that, they were ranked 61 out of 70. So as you can see, they were really near the bottom of the pack, and as a result of that, they got a bad tee time. Now, the point to remember is the next time that they go into the system, since again the system missed their tee time by 5 hours, they're only going to get 0.5 the next time that they go in. So they're going to have a very, very high ranking. In fact, in this example, they would have been ranked even higher than the Moriarty group if they went back into the system and the Moriarty group maintained that 0.52. They would be at 0.50. So the system is constantly ebbing and flowing throughout that 1 week moving window. It's kind of biblical. Those who are last shall be first, and first last. So as you get a bad tee time this week, you may get a better tee time next week because the system has reduced your play history by the number of hours that you missed your tee time. So as you can see, it's dynamic, it's flowing, it's always moving, it's self-correcting, and for the parameters that we've set into it, it is equitable, it is fair, and it works. Again, the Chelsea Information System is considered the creme de la creme. It is the Cadillac, it's the industry leader, it's what most clubs have in town. It works effectively. And again, thanks for listening. If you have any questions about your tee times or anything, don't hesitate to come by, see me or one of our staff. We'll be happy to run down your play history, the tee times you got, the other people's in your group, and give you an idea of what's going on with your tee times. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.